Good morning, my name is Anastasia. I am from Ukraine, but living and serving in Mauritius, married with Jeremy, Mauritian. And today, yes, I want to share with you a little bit about my mission journey. So I was 24 years old. I was a Christian for about 4 years. I was busy with a few ministries in my local church, and we had one social project in another city. Life finally had meaning and purpose with what I struggled a lot before Jesus met me. And I was sure that this is how I want to live for the rest of my life. And then one Sunday service, we had a visiting guest in the church who were sharing how he's involved in a church plant in a small country in Europe, in a city of a few thousand people, in a city without any church, the city where there was no church. And the same was in a neighboring city, no church at all, not even one. And this simple message hit me. There are places in the world where there is no Christian presence. Maybe there is not even one Christian. So some people are born, live, and die with a big possibility of never hearing the gospel in their lives. Of course, I knew about this before, that there are countries in the world with predominantly other religions, but at that moment, it was like God showed me his heart, the heart of the Father, which is in pain, the heart of the Father, which is crying for his children in different parts of the world, who die every day without knowing him. And this image was so strong that no matter what I was continuing to do after, I could not stop thinking about it. And the whole Bible started to speak loud and clear about the heart of God for the nations, that they will know his glory, his power, and his salvation. The journey from praying about it to being ready to do something about it took a bit of time and a lot of questions and a lot of doubts. Who am I to go to other places? A single woman, don't have theological degree. Where should I go? How I will support myself? I'm from a modest family, from a small church which never sent missionaries before. What about my family? My parents are still on their journey of faith, so who will continue to share the gospel with them? Who will care for them? God, in his grace, was answering all of this and a bunch of other questions in a very gentle but very affirmative way. And so I went. I joined the ship called Logos Hope, not a cruise, a missionary ship. And if I can please have a first slide, first photo on the screen. So I'm actually on that photo with the flag. If you have a good eyes, maybe you can see me. The Lord took me to the far South and East Asian countries, then to Africa, and then to Caribbeans. Through 3 years of ship's ministry, God truly showed himself to me so much more than what I thought I knew about him and his plan for this world. He showed me himself in the beauty of his children in different parts of the world. He shared with me 100 of stories of his work in their lives. I saw the ordinary miracles of saved lives, and I saw extraordinary manifestations of his power. I saw the needs, the thirst of so many. So the ship is about 350 people from 55 different nations, different ages, living and serving together, all as volunteers. All are working to run the ship, so it's like a big floating community. So when it docks in port, it brings knowledge, help, and hope to the people of the world so that everyone would have an opportunity to hear the gospel at least once. I have a lot of stories to share, but I will just share a few glimpses of what it means to bring through the ship's ministry knowledge, help, and hope. If I can please have a second photo. So on the ship, there are many books. It's like a floating bookshop. And when the ship is in port, there are many people who come and visit and buy good educational children Christian literature. And sometimes we are also visiting a more closed countries. So that the first photo is the photo from a closed Asian country. closed for Christians, I mean. And that is opportunity to welcome people, sometimes very interested people on board. So that was from a visit of 100-ish monks to the ship, who came just to visit the ship and see what the ship is about and what makes this 100, 300 people travel together from different nations. And it's not just the monks, they are seminary students. So we had the privilege to share with them and share the gospel with them. And at the end, actually offered them an opportunity to have a Bible, each of them, in their language, a free gift. And all of them eagerly took it because they want to know more about the different faiths. But also, in every port, the ship people go out and distribute a lot of literature. And very often, it's a very beautiful and precious moment to offer a Bible or a Jesus story, kid's story, to people who, for them, it might be a first book owned by them. Because there are still places in the world where people don't have access to bookshops or books so easily. So for them, you see how children take this Jesus story and how they immediately start to read it, so exciting, and just praying for them. That is very precious. If I can have this next photo. So the ship also bringing help to different parts of the world. So this is, you can see the photo before and after. I was blessed to be part of the team which was sent to Cambodia, to a very, very rural village in Cambodia, surrounded by Buddhist temples. But in this village, there were a group of Christians, like a home church, who were praying for a church for years. And even one family gave their land for that, but they didn't have means to build it. So we were living there for 1 month, and believe me or not, but it is possible, in 1 month we actually built them a church. And you look at me and you think, wow, we didn't know she has a gift in construction. I don't. But we actually had only one person in the team who knew what we were doing. Everyone else was just following, and you can find many videos on YouTube, very helpful. So yeah, we were able to build actually a building of a church. And if I can have a next slide, please. But just being there for 1 month, living with people, because they couldn't give us more than just their house and the food they were eating, and just living in their places, eating with them, talking with them every evening. There's very limited electricity, so you just talk a lot and sharing the Gospels, doing Bible studies through a translator. That was a very, very life-changing experience of how help can turn into sharing. And if I can have a next photo, please. As well, the ship ministry, the big part of it, it's bringing hope. Right, because everyone joins the ship, all those people from 55 different nations, because they found hope in Jesus, right? That's the biggest hope we have. And we want to share it, no matter if we go to a very poor places or quite developed places, because hope is something everyone needs. And these two photos, they actually taken from in Japan. So I was also very privileged to be part of the team who spent some months in Japan, in a small village city in Japan, and helping a church plant there. And this church, this little community, they are located next to this beautiful cliffs, but very dangerous cliffs. And that's the place where people all over Japan come to commit suicide. And Japan is actually rated one of the highest in the world for the ranks of number of suicides. And people committing suicide there every day. It's a very big area. And there are patrol services, volunteers, social workers who are not Christians. They're just governmental workers who patrol the areas and try to engage with people who look a bit suspicious, trying to talk with them and talk them over before they jump. And this community actually located very close, and during the week, it transforms into cafe. And very often, just after people were talked over doing something, and take them out of these cliffs, and they bring them to cafe, just to have something warm, a cup of tea, a hot meal. And those were very, very precious conversations, very fragile conversations with people who had zero hope, or zero meaning maybe to live, and just to be able to share the hope we have, the meaning we have to live every day, and that there's someone who loves them so much and their life is so precious, and just to be able to share that was really, really an extraordinary experience. So if I can please have last slide. And just to tell you that definitely there are many stories of what God is doing around the world. But being in different places during my 3 years on board the ship, the biggest thing I learned, that the harvest is truly plentiful and the workers are truly few. But God is at work. He is at work in the nations much more than what we hear in the news. And he's undoubtedly faithful to his mission, to his world. And he invites us to join him. And there's another piece of good news. So OAM Ships, this organization, they opened up a sponsorship program to join the ship. It is an amazing opportunity. So if you might be interested to know more, please talk to Pastor Phil or to some elders. And there are people in Mauritius who can coordinate this program, who can answer your questions. Maybe you're considering a gap year. Maybe you're considering a sabbatical year from your job, because the ship also looking at professionals. There is no really an age limit. If you are single, if you are married, if you have family, there is a school actually on board. Please pray about it, ask more information, and may God speak to you whether you will actually go yourself or you will support someone who will go, support financially or in prayer. I'm a very normal person, I hope so. There's nothing extraordinary in me. And I would never thought or imagine some years ago that I will end up living in the country which I could hardly point on the map before, and that I will be sharing with you today part of my mission journey. But if we step out in faith, greater things can happen through you and to you. Thank you.